New developers making the same mistakes that people were making 3 or 4 years ago?
I would say not, but like they're making other mistakes. That is also evolving with AI. People tend to very much trust what the output of whatever AI they use is.
Hi there, Internet. It's Mike from QuickNote, and we're here at Mountain Dell with Marius from Neodyme.
Thanks for having me.
There's a lot of people building out yet another contract to hold some tokens and move them around under particular conditions. You guys are really on the crunchier side.
Yeah.
Blockchain development. Do you enjoy it?
I love what I do because on one hand I see all these cool projects and what they are developing. There are always some projects who strive to do something very new, very special, and then I'm part of the team that's basically there to look at that product and get to break it in that sense. Hopefully not destroy the hopes of the developer, but in that sense protect him from whatever actor there is on mainnet that tries to gain money.
For people who aren't familiar with this, the development process for blockchain software is you build it on DevNet, and then before you approach mainnet, you have to go and get an order. How did you end up becoming a security researcher?
All of the guys working at Neodyme come from a competitive hacking background. From that team, a few people thought this seems profitable, why not do it for a living? So I ended up at Neodyme in the blockchain team.
It's a cool thing you do because firstly it's harder from a sheer complexity point of view.
Yeah.
I've seen some amazing exploits. Someone says just by not handling this consistency you can bleed a protocol like one token at a time. But also there's huge downsides to getting it wrong and upsides in terms of saving people from financial ruin.
Yeah, it's such a weird job in that sense because you don't really see the impact when you look at the code, right? You just see some like lines of code, and like this one line could be the line that decides if somebody can just drain the protocol or something, and you sit there before your laptop or whatever screen and just have basically these lines open. But there's so much more at stake. At some point you realize that you at least feel like you have a good impact on the ecosystem. Like you might not like the product personally, but still at the end you are protecting users that put trust in you.
Yeah, you're protecting developers as well. I actually know people who have been very popular in blockchain and I really like them. They made some mistakes in terms of what they were doing on mainnet and it really didn't work out in their favor and it really harmed their reputation as well.
Yeah. In the end, you have to be a very special person, I would say, to become an auditor, because you have to find enjoyment in looking basically at a brick wall for several hours. You might not find something, but maybe you find that small, simple piece that you can use to like let that whole wall collapse. And that's, I think, the nice part of the job. Actually, after like maybe 5 hours or something, you find that small detail that you didn't realize at first, and suddenly everything comes together. Of course, it's nice for you, but it's also nice for the developer or whoever contracted you, because you can tell them, yeah, we found something that could have been exploited on mainnet.
Yeah, amazing. A Solana developer is getting more sophisticated.
It depends, I feel like, because like there's always new developers coming in.
New developers making the same mistakes that people were making 3 or 4 years ago?
I would say not, but like they're making other mistakes. Like that is also evolving with AI. People tend to very much trust the output of whatever AI they use. Personally, I say I have no problem with people using AI to write their smart contracts. Like it's just another way of doing it, but you shouldn't just ship it to mainnet after Claude or whoever said, yeah, I just wrote this contract. Currently, it most probably is not secure. There was some client where we were pretty sure that it was AI generated, and even to the point where we were arguing with this AI agent basically, which was a bit odd. We are getting paid for arguing with an AI agent, but we are not here for arguing with AI agents in the end. But I guess it's only gonna get worse in that sense. I see AI as a tool, like people can use in their workflow, but at least before shipping to mainnet should have a person that knows about Solana, that knows about how to write secure code, that knows about what all the small details. Look through that code, because it could contain everything basically at this point.
It's very funny. People are releasing financial software and you would think that somebody has to be responsible for it.
I can understand it from the business perspective of wanting to ship fast. That's also a problem we have had since before AI, that getting people interested in security is hard because there's no real number you can put on it in a sense of this is gonna cost you 5k or something. You can always say, yeah, you're gonna lose all your money, but then that person said, no, that won't happen until it happens. And after that, you can say, yeah, if you only had booked an audit with us or some other company, but that also doesn't help.
It's also a little bit weird in terms of you don't get credit for preventing something that never happened.
And no one's ever even gonna know about it because it's protected under something. But the problem is also that we obviously have worked with some bigger clients in Solana, like
I saw you Jump and Marinate.
Anza, Drift, and like I could go on.
They know what they're doing.
They know now what they are doing. Famously, we started out as a blockchain auditing company. The Solana Foundation approached us because a lot of the guys who now work for us participated in their bug bounty program and reporting all those loss of funds on the blockchain itself. So at some point, the foundation approached us with, I think it's probably better for us and maybe even better for you because it's a steady pay stream to just make a contract about it and get the code audited regularly. And since then, I really feel like there has been a lot of improvement.
So you do the audits for Agave still?
Yeah. We are still one of the auditors that is asked by Agave to take a look, or by Anza, to take a look at the Agave source code and even the Alpenglow source code coming up. And for Jump, it's the same thing with Firedancer.
I think everyone who's in kind of low-level Solana is like the Alpenglow transition must be handled well. That's such a critical thing to be part of. AI is accelerating the amount of code that gets produced. What about on your side? Are you guys building your own agents to go in and, I guess, handle the low-level stuff?
Currently, we are evaluating how we can use AI to help in that. We want to find or look at the more complex stuff, at the more architectural bugs, at the economic bugs, like where you need to have some special instruction combination or something. It would help us to get that part solved with telling developers, you need an ownership check here, you need this PDA check there. You get really used to seeing those bugs here. It gets boring in that sense of looking at it, and it would really also help the developers in that case because then we have more time to look at the architect.
Exotic bugs,
and
the ones that need your expertise.
Yeah, I can be really good at pattern recognition. Most of these simpler bugs are basically patterns you need to follow or you don't follow in that case. In 2022, we have already released a blog post that was basically, these are the top 10 Solana bugs or basic Solana bugs. Please fix them for yourself. We want to look at more interesting code. One thing to come back to your question earlier, I feel improved a lot with frameworks like Anchor. When we started out, people were basically handing us this bare bone Rust code that needed to do all these checks individually, and you could really see that this was a point of failure. This is a thing Anchor and other frameworks really helped in, even getting those junior developers on board with writing more secure code by default.
Yeah, the process of learning anchors are here are your instruction handlers, and here are the accounts, and here are all the macros you have to add to each account to say how it's going to be used.
Yeah, that's also a thing that's got more complex from the auditor's perspective, because suddenly you have to do all this macro expansion to get to what check is actually happening. Because while there are very well-known checks in Anchor is also a bit more exotic. As an auditor, you often need to double-check on your intuition in a way of this feels odd, and then you try to dig deeper, and in Rust that often involves expanding macro after macro and seeing where it could go wrong, and then maybe you could report a bug to the developer here that the developer didn't know about.
Have you played with Pinocchio yet?
Not personally. I know some people from our teams that were involved with basically benchmarking the Pinocchio SPL token implementation against the Anchor one, and I know that Pinocchio really does drive down the cost of execution because it's just more efficient in that sense. Pinocchio really has its use case in these SDK contracts that have the money to get vetted in that sense. Once you do Pinocchio on your random small contract, it can work, but there's a lot more you have to think about. Anchor really gives you guidance. For Pinocchio, it's bit more do-it-yourself.
Did you come straight out of university into security research, or was your path a little bit more roundabout?
Yeah, once I finished with university, I basically continued doing security research because I already started doing that job part-time in that sense while I was in university.
Amazing. The auditors and the people who run the validator are the crunchiest, toughest kind of
Well, we do
old-school
both.
computer scientists on Solana. It's really interesting to talk to you guys.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much, Marius from Neodyme.